Hello, my beautiful, lovely people. It's your girl Melissa back with you with a blissful message. So, this message is titled God Save the Queen. And this is a lesson from my Sunday school lesson. And so, I want to show my Sunday school book. And so, as I stated in my other video, I'm going to create a playlist so you can just watch Sunday school lesson. I already created a playlist on my Bible study series. And so now I'm creating a Sunday school playlist. So those of you, you can go, and these are Sunday school lessons that come from, my church that they was taught. So I just want to bless you all with this lesson, and it's God Save the Queen. And this lesson is one of my favorite. It's because I did a video on how God prepared Esther to meet the king. So in this one is titled God Save the Queen. And it's coming from Esther 4, chapter 4, verse 14. And the focus verse says, and who knows whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And the lesson text is Esther 4, chapter 4, verse 16. And real quick, I want to read you all just a brief introduction of Esther to get, in case you haven't read the story of Esther. I just want to read it to you all. I know you all might remember to my old subscriber, and I did the video, and I was telling you the story about the movie One Night with the King. And if you haven't watched, if you get a chance, hello to all my new subscribers. You get a chance, you can watch that video where I was telling the story about Esther and the king, how God prepared Esther to meet the king. So you get a chance, you can go back and watch that video. And so, but I want to give y'all more brief description of Esther. And so I'm going to read from the Bible, and then I'm going to read you the lesson. So it's always good and important that when someone is sharing a Bible verse with you, that it's important that you have your Bible, that you read along, or you can go back and you can read it to make sure that what they is reading to you is really what the scripture is saying. Because some people, they make up stuff, they add, they take from it. So I want you all, as reading the lesson, I want to read the verse with you. And let me go to Esther. Now, I hope y'all don't have to do two parts to this. I usually record from my laptop, and my laptop is started freezing, acting up. So I have to do it from my phone, but that's okay. So let me see. Now bear with me. Oh, okay. This is Esther. So we're going to read, and I'm going to go to chapter 4. Chapter 4. So this is chapter 4, when her cousin Mordecai asks Esther. He asked Esther to help out. So those of you don't know the story of Esther, Esther, go back. So the story, a brief description of Esther. So first there was this king, and his name in the Bible, his name is Xerxes. No, Azarius. His name is Zrex, Azarius, but they call him Zrex. And so he had a queen. He had a queen, and he had a queen. Her name was Vashti. Her name was Vashti, and so his little, I'm gonna say his friends, they got in his ear and telling him to invite her to his banquet. But they knew they knew the law, they knew the protocol of the king. They had their own separate banquet. He would have his own separate banquet for his people, and she would have her own separate banquet. And so they got him. So I love the part like how the movie tells us how he had his little banquet, and they have sipping on a little wine. I guess the king was a little tipsy, and so they told him to send for Vashti, send for her. And so him knowing that he knowing the protocol, like he have his own banquet and she have her own, not to send for her, but still he sent for her. So when he sent for her, and first she said no. Like she was like, no, I am not fin to come, and parade myself around you and your drunk friends. And so when she said that, I guess it was kind of like his friends got all up in his ear, and they was like, it's an embarrassment, you the king, and you sent for her, and she refusing to come. And so I believe the law is like, if the king, he sent for his wife, the queen, she don't come, she is to be put away. So that's why it's always important that you have, like they say, keep your circle small. Keep your circle small, and you want to keep positive people around you for, like, in times like that. If you a little tipsy, at least somebody that got some sense, or somebody that wise, will say something. But here he had these negative people in his ear, got in his ear, telling them to send for Vashti. And he, knowing that she not supposed to come, he still sent for her anyway. And so then they was like, if she talking to you this way, it's going to set a bad example for all the other men's, wife. They're going to think that they can talk to their husband that way too. So he was like, he's the king. You the king, you know the rule, you know the protocol, you know everything. So he asking them like, so what do what am I supposed to do? And they was like, hey, she's supposed to be put away. She's supposed to be put away. So him listening to his friends, he put Vashti away. And so when they put Vashti away, so then he had to get another queen. He has to get another queen, and this is when Esther comes on the scene. It's because they sent out these invitations for all these virgin women to come into the king palace. But when they came into the king palace, I don't want to tell too much of the story because I did a video on this, so I want you all to go and watch the video, because it talks about how much time she spent in the palace, and the grooming and all that. But I want to get into the lesson where it said God saved the queen. And the first it's 3 outlines. I just want to read this to you. So I'm going to read it, and then I want to share with you some notes that I got out of the lesson, and pray that it blesses you. And so the first outline, it says Esther became queen. Vashti, rejection. B, Esther's selection. Then it says, see, God is still at work in difficult situation. Then 2, Haman plots. So Haman was one of the he was one of the men's, like in the movie, the way I look at it, Haman was one of the men's, like he just wanted to just he just wanted to take over, and then he wanted the Jews. He wanted the Jews killed because, Esther, she was a Jew. And so then it said, the enmity between Mordecai and Haman. B, Esther resolve. And then C, doing God's will requires great courage. 3, Esther saved her people. A, Esther wisdom in Haman's folly. And B, Esther's success in Haman's destruction. I will face my circumstance with courage and faith. And so I'm not going to read all of this. I just want to read you some notes that I got of it. And so it says, Esther became queen. The story of Esther took place in the Persian Empire. Although the Jews faced genocidal in the Book of Esther, the Persians generally treated the Jews favorable. After defeating the Babylonian and becoming the superpower of the day, the Persian allowed the Jews to return to their homeland. The decree of Cyrus the Great reversed the exile and the 70 years of captivity. The Persian also allowed the Jews to rebuild their temple. Nevertheless, many of these Jews remained in their country. And this is where it's talking about Vashti rejection. The positive treatment the Jews received under the Persian Empire makes the narrative in Esther seem quite surprising. At the same time, the text revealed the frequenting of king. Azarias, also known as Xerxes, I rule over the Persian Empire. The Book of Esther portrayed the king as, Buffness. And when I look at that word, I looked up that word, and that word means lacking. It says lacking firmness, a clown. It says a clown. And when I looked up that word, I said that's exactly what he was, a clown. Because here you are, the king. You are the king of Persia. And you know everything. You know the law and everything. But still, you allow these people to get in your ear and to tell you, what to do about your wife. To tell you, hey, you already know you're the king. You know that you wasn't supposed to summon her. But still, you had her to come. And then you turn around and ask them, okay, what am I supposed to do next? You're the king. You're the king. You're the king of the palace. And you asking your peers, you asking them, okay, she ain't coming to me. So, can you imagine in your mind, you're the king, and your buddy's telling you, hey, send for your wife, and you know that your wife is not supposed to come because you have your own private banquet, but still you go tell your friends, what am I supposed to do? You are the king. So what that show, like they said exactly what that word, they saying that he was lacking firmness. They say, he was like a clown, he couldn't even think for himself. And so then it goes to says, and even despicable. No one knew the depths of his disappointment nature like Queen Vashti. During the showcase of his kingdom, featuring multiple parties of feasting and drinking, the king demanded Vashti appear before him. And the men, so this is the men's, his peers, the men's attended his party. Vashti refused the king's request. The story of Esther provides us with key insight into the character of Azarias. When Vashti refused to appear before him, the king, so they was his advisor. The king advisor convinced him that the action of one woman. So now they're telling him, if she do this to you, the other queens, the other ladies, they're going to do the same thing to their husband. And said, if the queen did not obey her king, then widespread rebellions of women against their husband will break out in the empire. The aggravation of these advisors and the king banishment of Vashti, so he had her banished, revealed the poor judgment. He had poor judgment poor judgment of Xerxes. The king acted despicably and Vashti paid the price. Then it says Esther's selection. After the king's wrath weed, the servants sought virgins to possibly serve as the new queen. Esther found herself chosen. Her relative Mordecai forbade her to reveal. He forbade her not to, so he told her. So she was chosen queen, but her uncle, he forbid her, don't let them know. Don't let them know, your true identity. Don't let them know that, because when I was reading that's why it's so important that you have to go back and read the story of Esther in the Bible, is because her name was Esther, but her real name was Hadassah. Her real name was Hadassah of Susan. And so her uncle, he changed her name. He changed her name. He said, we're going to give you a different name. We're going to give you he said, you need a new name, a Babylonian. He said, we're going to call you Esther of Susan. And so that's how she got the name Esther. And so it says, Esther found herself chosen. Her relative Mordecai forbade her to reveal her Jewish heritage. Therefore, Esther entered the chamber of the woman on a secret mission from God that she herself did not even know. So here, Esther she's entering this palace, but not knowing that she's entering this palace as possibly being chosen queen, but not knowing that God had already, he put her in the king's palace, like he said in chapter 4, verse 14, where it says, and who knewest whether thou art come to the king for such a time? So she's entering this palace, not knowing she's coming to the palace to be chosen queen, but not knowing that God had Esther put in that palace for the king to choose, for the king to pick her so she can deliver her people. And so then it says, therefore Esther entered the chamber of the woman on a secret mission from God that she herself did not even realize. Esther knew the difficulty of her situation because she had likely heard stories about Jews being persecuted in foreign land. Obeying her cousin Mordecai and keeping her identity hidden seems like the best course of action. Still, Esther wondered how everything would turn out. Following Mordecai's advice had proved exceedingly beneficial as a result. Esther trusted in the guidance of Haggai, the king chamberlain, the keeper of the woman. So Haggai was like this man, like they say he was the keeper. He would like have the all the women's, he would in the movie. That's why you get a chance, you go watch the movie one night with the king. And he had Haggai was like he would teach, he was like the one, he was teaching them, like he was teaching them, they were taking them to they would have to pamper themselves. They had to pamper themselves. And so then after they went to this grooming process, then he took them to this place. He took them to this place and had them like to pick out this gift, to give to the king. And Esther gave the best gift. And so then it says, while many other women demand a lot of items before going into the king's chambers, Esther simply took what Haggai had appointed. Esther's kindness and her good demeanor caused her to gain favor with everyone who saw her. The king saw her worth and made her his queen. And then it says, God is still his work in difficult situation. And then it said, Esther faced the toughest reality of being taken from her home, being forced to keep her identity a secret, and being placed in a competition for the queenship among young women from all over the empire. Despite the difficulty before Esther, God still worked in her situation. Although Azarias, this is the king, proved to be an extremely con- conspiracies conspiracies king, the Almighty proved a faithful to Esther in the same way. We must recognize God's ability to work in situations no matter how strange or dangerous they are. So, and then Esther resolved. Esther soon discovered the problem she and her fellow Jews faced. Esther heard about everything her relative Mordecai had done in response to the king's decree. Although Esther wore royal robes, Mordecai had rented his clothes. So now it's talking about when Haman, he has so now it's come Haman. Now the Jews, they wanted the Jews killed, and Esther, Esther, she was a Jew, and so her cousin Mordecai told her, like, don't think just because you queen and you in that palace, like ain't nothing gonna happen to you. You one of us too. You one of us too. And he said, like, if you stay quiet, still, like something is gonna happen. That's gonna be between you and God. And so he sent her cousin, send one of the eunuchs to go to her and tell her, hey, we going on a fast. You need to go on a fast too. And so Esther, obeying her cousin command, and she went on a fast. She told her servants to go on a fast with her. And so they went on a fast with her, and God intervened and made it so that I like the movie. The movie portrayed is that just like Vashti, so here it is again. So just like Vashti, she wasn't supposed to, you're not supposed to come to the king unsummoned. So Esther went on the fast, and God was leading her what to do. And so then she went on this fast, and so then here they is again. They in this I'ma say they like in this little banquet hall, him and the king and his friends. And so Esther, she goes in there. She going before the king. Unsummoned. He didn't ask her to come, and she's going before him on the plea of her people. She did the fast. God lead her like, hey, okay, now go. You need to go. And then what she said, if I perish, meaning if I die, I die. Belongs like I did what the Lord told me to do. And so here she is. She goes to the king, and she's going before him unsummoned. And so I'm just showing y'all a picture like how the movie portrayed it. And she going before him unsummoned. And so as she's going and she's walking up the stairs, so these same people, his advisor, the one that told him to put the first queen away, they see her coming, and they looking, and they like, what you gonna do? Like, stop her, kill her. Like, what is you gonna do? But God made it so that the king, it's like I believe it's like a spatula, it's like something, it looks like a rod or something. God made it so that the king, he scratched out he scratched out, I'm gonna say his rod. He scratched it out, and he was like, when he did it, it was like, because they saw her coming to the stairs, and they was like, hey, like, kill her, take her out. But God made it so that when the king stretched out his rod, that was it. He was like, no, like, don't touch her. So it's kind of like what is it? Moses. Kind of like Moses, and when God gave Moses the rod, and he was like, Moses, stretch forth your rod. And so that's what it reminded me of when the king, he took the rod, and he was like, that was it. He was like, don't touch her. So, so from there, the king, after that, so then the king, she had a banquet. I'm just telling you how the movie had it. And Esther had a banquet. She invited him to the banquet, and she begins to tell him, like, Haman. She begins to tell him Haman, like one of his advisors he had. He sought to kill her people. Sought to kill her people, and he said, "Who is your people?" And so then she begins to tell him. Then now she have to reveal her true identity. So now she have to tell him, my name is Hadassah. My name is Hadassah of Susan. I am a Jew. And so she begins to tell me, he's saying, like, I said, who is your people? And she told him. And so then after that, I'm just telling, this is how the movie. And so then how he knew that she was a Jew, that was his necklace. That was this necklace that she wore. And when you hold the necklace, like in the light or something, you see this symbol. It's like a symbol. It flashes, letting you know, like the stars, the stars and what it represents. And so the king, when he saw the stars, he was like, right away, he didn't let her know that, like, when he saw the stars, like, I know what they mean. I know you're a Jew. He just got up from the table and he left. And so then when he left, Haman, his advisor, thought that he was gone. And so he grabbed her. He grabbed her, finna kill her. And the king came back on the scene. The king came back on the scene and he grabbed him and he was like, what are you doing? You gonna disrespect me in my house? You gonna come in my house? You gonna choke my wife in my house? You gonna kill my wife in my house? Like, how dare you? And so then he had Haman killed. And so from that moment on, Esther was able to save her people. So I just love, whenever I hear this story, I just love it. I watch the movie over and over and over, but I love it. Whenever I hear a lesson, something about Esther, I'm like, I just jump right in. I'm like, I love it. So, but I pray that you all was blessed by this message. God save the queen. And then two, I want you to know that just how God made a way for Esther and her people, God can do the same thing for you. God can make an escape for you. He can make a way for you out, whatever it is that you might be going through in life. You might be bound by something, and God can make a way for you to escape just by you surrendering your life to him, just by you repenting and you telling him, like, Lord, I don't want to live this lifestyle no more. That's what I did. That's how I got saved. And if you want to go back, you can watch that video on my salvation story where I'll tells the story how God saved me, and that night I repented. And I told him, I don't want to live this lifestyle anymore. And that next morning, July the 23rd, 2007, God filled me with the precious gift of the Holy Ghost in my bedroom. I got saved in my bedroom. So God can do the same thing. He can do the same for you. All you have to do is just ask. Like the scripture Matthew and 7 says, Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open. So as you are asking God and you seeking him, he's going to begin to knock on your door. And as he knock at your door, I pray that you give him that invitation and allow him to come in and have a relationship with you. So I pray that you all was blessed by this message. God save the queen. And until next time, it's your girl Melissa. God bless.